All right, guys, welcome to the show. Got an awesome one for you today. So, Donald Trump weighed in on Tucker Carlson getting his ass fired. I also have probably the saddest, most sycophantic Trump interview I've ever seen in my life. And that's crazy because that's a high bar, too, to clear. And I think Mark Levin successfully cleared it. And then later on, we have the RNC used an AI-generated ad to go after President Biden, and then they lie gratuitously and act like it's not AI generated when it very clearly is AI generated. Very strange scenario all around. We'll talk about that. And even more Supreme Court corruption coming out. I mean, honestly, they're probably one of the most corrupt institutions in the country. And that's hilariously ironic given that they act like they're above it all and they're like the most noble of all the institutions. Utter garbage. They're just as corrupt as the House and the Senate and the executive branch, if not more so. So let's go ahead and dive into it. And of course, you guys know the drill. Same standard shameless plugs, like, subscribe, trying to get to 2 million subs. There's a lot of people who watch the channel but aren't subscribed. I'm just saying you got to get your act together, man. Get your act together. Don't know what you're doing with your life. Click that sub button. And support the show on Patreon. Support Crystal Kyle and friends on Substack. Those links are in the video description box below. Remember, don't talk to any corporate advertisers at all. Made a point of that, and so we got to fund it the old-fashioned way, which is small dollar donations. So I'd appreciate it, even if it's just $2 a month or whatever. It helps out massively. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into it here. So Trump went on Newsmax and gave them an interview, and he was asked about Tucker Carlson's firing. And I found his reaction kind of interesting. Watch this.
I don't know if it was voluntary or was it somebody fired, but I think Tucker's been terrific. He's been, especially over the last year or so, he's been terrific to me.
There's a lot of turmoil over there at Fox. I mean, $787 they just paid. Why would they get rid of a guy who's performing? Why would somebody do that to their business? Because they're losing money right now. Their stock has gone down.
Well, I was surprised that they made a settlement on that case. I thought that was a case that should easily be won, and they made a settlement. Look, you'll have to ask them. I'm not representing them at all by any means. But the Tucker situation, again, you don't know if it's a firing. Maybe he left because he wasn't being given his free rein. He wants free rein, maybe. But I was surprised by it.
Joe Biden.
I don't know if it.
So it was a very muted response here from Donald Trump. I guess I sort of expected a more full-throated defense of Tucker Carlson, and I expected him to be more aggressive on the side of Tucker. But then again, you stop and you think about it, and you realize it was not that long ago that news story came out with all the secret text messages and emails from Tucker and all the internal Fox hosts banter. And Tucker doesn't actually like Donald Trump. He says he hates him with a burning passion. He said he can't wait to stop talking about him every night. He said there's been absolutely nothing positive that's come out of the Trump era. Of course, that's very different from his persona on air, where he perpetually coddles Trump's ballsack. But maybe, this is just pure speculation here, but my guess is Trump's kind of muted response is probably because there's a part of him in the back of his mind. He's like, yeah, this guy threw me under the bus. And said those things in secret. And so now, you're not going to get the full-on Trump effect here, man. I'm not going to come out swinging for you. I'm not going to, crusade over this. You see more of a, vibrant defense from Donald Trump Jr. to say, keep Tucker, we're on Team Tucker, than you see from Trump himself here. So, look, again, that's just pure speculation. I think he was asked this question on the same day that the Tucker firing happened, but I would expect him to sort of be given that, rah moment. You have somebody here who's questioning the Republican establishment. That's what he's doing. He's very, very pro-Trump. He loves Trump. He's on Team Trump. And that's why they're getting rid of him. Because Fox News is the Paul Ryan network. They're the Mitt Romney network. They're not real conservatives. They're rhinos, folks. I was expecting something along those lines. We got nothing even remotely close to that. That's really, really interesting to me. Or look, maybe I'm reading too much into it, and the fact of the matter is Trump just didn't pop his Adderall on this day, and so he doesn't care about any of it, and that's coming across very clearly. But the other part that's worthy of commentary is the stuff about the lawsuit. And Trump was saying this publicly, even when the negotiations were going on between Fox and Dominion. He was like, I don't understand. What should happen is they go to court, they stand up, and they say, the election absolutely was rigged. It was terribly rigged. Dominion rigged it. Hugo Chavez, Maduro, all these people, they flipped the election. They stole it for Biden. People were voting. Dead people were voting. Everybody knows this. Many people are saying this. And so you need to stand up and tell the truth, Fox. Tell the truth in the courtroom. Tell them the election's stolen. Then you can prove it. I have all the documents. We have all the amazing stuff. Really tremendous evidence. I was sort of, he doesn't realize, like, just how debunked his nonsense is, and that Dominion and Smartmatic have a good case when it comes to libel, slander, defamation. And so, obviously, the reality of the situation is Fox News didn't think that they were on, solid ground with their side of the case, which is why they settled. Dominion was asking for $1.7 billion. There's a strategy legally for these sorts of suits called anchoring, where you ask for a number that's really, really high and almost preposterous, and then you get, the other side to sort of meet you halfway, which is a colossal amount of money. The company ended up getting almost like 10 times what it was worth at all. $787 million, and like a semi-apology where they said, yeah, okay, things we said were wrong. So, I mean, it's amazing to me. I think Trump has maybe actually convinced himself of all the rigged election, stop the steal nonsense, because he's telling them leading up to it, just go out there and say the election was stolen. I don't see what the problem is. Well, the problem is you would be further defaming them, and that would give them, even more evidence in their case against you. It's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea, but nonetheless, he still gives the advice he gives. Look, I said it before, I'll say it again. With Tucker, there was a lot of evidence that he knew he was peddling BS and he didn't care, which helps build a case that there was, it was intentional and there was malice there. With somebody like Jeanine Pirro, she's probably dumb enough to believe it, and that is a defense in the court of law. In the same way Trump's saying this over and over, he seems to believe it, that would be a defense. So he'd be like, you can't say I'm libeling you or doing defamation because I truly believe this. So, man, there was a lot in this clip here, but of course the biggest point is not really the strongest defense of Tucker. And perhaps that's because he's got in the back of his mind the fact that Tucker was throwing him under the bus behind the scenes. And maybe old Donnie knows that those messages were true, and that's how Tucker really feels. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.